Hey everybody, and thanks for tuning in to Starting a Record Label. This is a podcast about starting a record label, all the crap I gotta go through, and if you're following along at all, if you're following along in the world at all, you understand that this last week or 2 weeks now, I'm probably going to go into more like a month or two of craziness in the world, is probably postponing a little bit of starting the record label stuff. I mean, obviously with everything shut down, I'm living in here in Los Angeles. There's not a lot you can actually, or you're not supposed to do. There's no gatherings of more than 10 people. And most non-essential stores and whatnot have been shut down. All shows, basically, any concerts or anything. I was actually hoping to start getting out and seeing some artists I might have been interested in. And that's just all kaput, probably at least for another month. I doubt that we're going to get back to any kind of normal living here anytime soon. And that really puts a damper on a lot of the stuff that I want to do, because, like I'd said in previous podcasts, I've been saving up some money. I'd been starting to do some extra side gigs besides mixing, and even now, like, mixing stuff has dried up completely because nobody's making music. Everybody's, if they are making music, they're doing it in their own home and just putting out demos. But everything's kind of shut down completely. So this week I was actually planning on getting my LLC started, and I think, let's see, I really got to look up the exact number of what we came to a couple weeks ago, and I looked back there and it seems to be about 16,510 for about how much? So that's $16,510 for about as much as I think in a year's space of how much I'll be able to spend. And I especially with adding the LLC stuff on here, it's at least $800 just per year in California to have an LLC. It's basically part of your taxes. You're basically paying at least $800 a year for having an LLC, which I think is kind of highway robbery, but welcome to California. And so that, plus like I think a $70 filing fee, and if you're going through something that makes it a lot easier, like what was it, the legal docs or whatever, like LegalZoom, it's probably going to be an extra couple $100 on that. So I mean, that's kind of reaching up into 18 grand in a year anyway. That's a nice little car for anyone else out there. But with all the crazy stuff going along, I haven't been able to do a lot of work. Even like I said, I was doing some side gigs, some grocery delivery and other things just on the weekends to give $400, $500 a week, and that stuff has dried up, like, just because I'm not really interested in catching coronavirus. I'm especially towards this week where things are really jumping up. I think it's up to about 35,000 people just in California, I think it was, having it. I mean, it's pretty much, you're adding exponential amount of people every day. So I am staying away from that temporarily here. So I don't know much else to report on at this point in time. What I am going to do is I have an interview that I never released. An interview last year that I did with a guy named Cam Earven. And he has a YouTube page called The Print Life. And he also runs Monument Limited out of, I think, Phoenix, where he has, he does T-shirts. And he does merch and all kinds of stuff. And he's been in that scene for a real long time. He does awesome YouTube videos, even teaching people how to do it on their own. And I was kind of interested in, like, hey, how could we do some of this stuff on our own at first? Or maybe even simple jobs, like one color or this or that, and see if that actually doable for, a small band, like DIY stuff, make things a little bit more intimate with the fans. And I sat down with an interview for him, probably over an hour, I think, and it was a great interview. However, it was for my other podcast called A Band's Life. And I'll give you a little short rundown of a band's life. A band's life was an idea I had last year, or a year before, of interviewing artists, finding out what new things that they were doing. in the industry. Things to keep their band fresh, things to keep to help other bands. I was like, hey, maybe we could share this information and help everybody out. Well, what it kind of turned out to be is I interviewed a lot more than actually what I put out on the channel, and even then it was actually really hard to get bands, especially any bands with any kind of notoriety, to accept to do any kind of podcast or interview. Oftentimes I was trying to catch up with them, trying to actually get them to answer an email or a text or anything, and they just wouldn't. I don't know if they were largely uninterested in what I was doing, or I don't know. I feel like, and I know this might get me into a little bit of trouble, I feel like rock bands in general are lazy-ish. Maybe not even lazy. Man, that's probably a bad word. I feel like they have a certain mentality about them that think they don't need to do certain things. Social media is one of them. I think they think it's below them. I don't like necessarily it's like a purposefully like mean, angry thing, but they probably see younger YouTube people doing stuff, and they're like, I don't want anything to do with that. And I understand that, I really do. But in this world, everything's kind of changed topsy-turvy on its head. And when you see rappers and whatnot coming up doing crazy amounts of social media and getting out there and making quite a bit of money, you can't just sit there with your hands going, I don't know why I'm not making money. I don't know why I'm not doing so well. It just doesn't make any sense. If you're not doing every absolute possible thing you can, it doesn't make any sense. So anyway, from what I learned with that podcast, I think there's only like 9 episodes or whatever. The bands that I actually did interviews with were doing a little bit of social media and some other things to help themselves out. Some of them were doing pretty well, the other ones not so much. And even like I'd done a couple other bands, and one of them even flat up told me they didn't want to do anything on social media at all, even though they had already kind of done something that seemed to be doing pretty well. And I was like, why am I even interviewing these bands if they're not actually going to do anything like what the channel is meant to be? So anyway, I started heading in a different direction with that channel, and eventually kind of just closed that channel altogether because nobody was really interested in anything else. However, the last interview that I did, that I was talking about now, that you're going to be listening to in a second, with Cam, was a great interview, and I think that maybe could revitalize that A Band's Life channel if we got a lot of people interested in. So I'm going to post it here, and I'm probably going to post it on the Band's Life channel. It's a YouTube channel and a podcast similar to this one. Actually, it actually has video for everything. I'm actually looking forward to maybe doing more video for this podcast, even though it's just mainly going to be me sitting here anyway. You're going to be looking at my ugly mug, and maybe if I go somewhere else and talk to another person or via Skype or something, you'd see that. But for right now, this is a video you can see on the YouTube page, or you can just listen to it here. I mean, it's just great listening to it anyway. But I interviewed Cam at his print shop in Phoenix, and we just, so we sat there and we talked, and it was a great interview, just talking about different kinds of merch and how bands can get started, and maybe pitfalls that they run into. It was pretty fun. So, at least for this week, I'm going to release that interview. I probably should give Cam a heads up, since I think we did this like last summer. I was like, oh yeah, it'll be a couple months and I'll put this up. And I never actually got to putting it up. But without further ado, Cam Earven from The Print Life.
Hey guys, it's Josh from A Band's Life, and I'm here with Cam from Monument Limited, The Print Life YouTube channel, Cam at Cam Earven on Instagram and Twitter, blah, 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 blah. Cool. Well, a lot of times I've been recording bands and asking them questions about the industry to help other bands, and this time I was passing through Phoenix, and I said, hey, like, one of these guys is a YouTube guy that prints a lot of T-shirts. I'm sure we could ask him a bunch of questions and see if you guys are interested. So my dog is down here too, and she's squeaking away. Hang on, guys. Fine. All right, fuck off. All right, there we go. Real quick. Oh, this is the princess. All right. So yeah, man. Thank you for coming too, by the way. Dude.
Oh, no problem.
I like to get in here meet different people. Don't get that opportunity very often. I'm often isolated in my little cave here, so I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thanks for saying yes to just random dude on the internet being like, hey, can I come by your spot and like record you?
I know it's weird sometimes.
Just for bands in general, let's just do a general rundown of like what happens when they want to buy merch.
Yeah. One of the best parts of being a printer for bands is just the fact that they often come with their artwork, right? Within this industry, a lot of the times that doesn't happen. So I think that's why shops like myself and many others actually prefer working with bands, because they come with that part already done. So if you are a band and you have your artwork, we're gonna love you. Mm-hmm. So, but once you have the artwork and all that stuff lined out, I think it just comes down to either stopping by your shop or just doing your research and figuring out what type of shirt you want. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That's I feel like for most people, or I don't know, just get bands and individuals in general, they have a certain feel that they're going for, they have a certain look that they're going for, but they don't know where to start. So you got to take a trip to the shop.
Exactly.
And you just gotta get a feel for what the shirts are. Dude, I'm sorry, I'm so fucking distracted. Gigi, chill, okay? So you gotta get a feel for that. And then from there, I guess you're just going to get your quotes. Call, I would say, at least 3 shops. Mm-hmm. Figure out what their prices are. But more importantly, I think one of the biggest defining factors for a good shop versus is if they answer the phone on the first or second ring.
Nice.
If they respond to emails, in a timely manner, that kind of stuff. Because that's a big indicator.
Yes.
As to how much they're on top of it.
Like the customer service will be shown just for the fact that they're going to answer this freaking phone.
Yeah, and one of the things that I found, especially when I was starting as a shop early on, is how people were like you would answer like on the first or second ring, and they would like
they're not ready to talk.
Yeah, they're like, so you answered your phone, sweet. This is what I got, So I think that's a really important indicator as to whether you as a band will be able to move forward with them and consistently get stuff from them. Mm-hmm. And then from there, you can see samples on their prints and just see if it has the look that you want. And then, from there, it's pretty sure, I don't know, dude, at that point, you just pull the trigger, maybe start with a slightly smaller order. Mm-hmm. Don't get like your full 100-piece, 1,000-piece run out the gate. Maybe get 12 pieces. Yeah, it's going to cost a little bit more, but it's worth it because you're just figuring out if they're doing it the way you want.
It's true.
Yeah.
Like you said, you like it when they bring their own designs.
There are, yeah, because it's in the print industry, it's such a bottleneck. Like everything comes down to the art, and from a print shop's point of view, it can suck a lot of the time that they have available for you. Mm-hmm. The art part can. So by the time you're done with the whole art process, they're like, I don't even want to deal with you no more. So having the art there for them, and all they have to do is worry about producing the final product. It's a huge win for the shop.
Do you ever have to deal with people that just do things poorly, to where that's maybe bad? They don't know how to deliver the data?
No, and I think in 2019 that's finally starting to change. The early days of a print shop, it was a logistical nightmare getting the sizes and the shirt colors and all that stuff, and then the people are kind of really flaky. They don't really know which way they want to go, so they're not very confident about it. Mm-hmm. But now there's all these, I have a really cool tool on my website for shops to use and that I use that makes getting the information from the client easier, mm-hmm. right? So, and I think that's another important thing that a band would want to consider is how easy it is for them to give the information to the shop.
Yeah.
So it's important, and it's getting a lot better now. It used to be a mess.
When I was in a band in the late 90s, early 2000s, the internet stuff started coming about to where you didn't have to go to an actual place. You could actually go online and say, hey, I need stickers. Mm-hmm. And so I remember making in Windows Paint my sticker or whatever, and setting it off and being pissed when it came back that it was all pixelated.
Well, yeah.
I wonder what's the problem.
That's true, man. And so that was kind of what your question was in regards to the quality of the art.
Yeah.
That is important. And I think that a standard, if you're having an artist create it or if they're illustrating it, they want to hit that 300 dots per inch on the artboard, whether they're working in Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever, and they need to scale it to final print size. Okay. So this thing, 11 inches, the artist should have created that on an 11-inch artboard at 300 dots per inch.
Okay.
So that's a pretty basic technical stuff, but yeah, if you're working in window paint and shit like that, or if you provide a graphic from your cell phone, print results may vary.
Nice.
And this dog, she's gonna drive me crazy.
So sweet.
She's so quiet all day. You show up and
hey,
it's an explosion of energy.
What would you say would be because you said maybe you should test out a printer first. What would be the easiest thing to do for a band to print? Like as opposed to maybe like something, I don't know if maybe this is harder to do.
That's pretty straightforward.
Is that straightforward too?
The harder stuff is when you're, especially for like smaller to mid-sized shops like ours, is when it's a graphic that requires like 8 colors. I mean, even if you're reproducing like a photograph, a lot of the times that can require a handful of colors.
Yeah.
Anything that's, if you just look at it and you're like, oh, there's reds and blues and greens and yellows and all this kind of stuff, those can be more difficult, and it may require you to go with a shop that has higher color capacity.
Okay.
Right? But the trade-off with them a lot of the time is it's just the setups and the initiation fees will be a little bit higher.
Yeah, because you're going to have like 8 colors, and that's going to have how many screens that they have to...
Exactly. So I think for a band, if you're especially if you're starting out trying to keep costs down, try to create your early graphics that are around that 3, no more than 4 colors, and you're going to really push it at 6, but anyone can print that one. That's where I would say you start with the graphics, is around 6 colors. Unless you're willing to pay for it. But if you're over 6, it's gonna hurt.
Is there like a really, really big difference, kind of like in a price chunk? Say if a band just wants like a one color, like white on black or whatever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, if you can get away with like 1 to 3 colors, you're in the sweet spot. You know what I mean? But I've always noticed a trend, especially with bands like in the hardcore scene, where they do these like crazy hyper graphics, you know, with all these different colors in them and stuff. So they end up paying for them, especially because they're not, especially smaller bands, they're not printing 5,000, units. They may be printing 50 to 300, maybe 500 on a if they're really killing it locally or something like that. But the average band, in all honesty, is printing. I mean, for one graphic set, they'll do typically between like 36 and 200. That's where you'll find most people landing, most bands landing. Yeah. Merch doesn't sell as much as I think people wish it would. Some bands have better experience with it.
I feel like a lot of that was probably more than like not getting out and pushing it as much.
Dude. Yeah, you know what? I've always been intrigued by, I mean, I'm not a musician, played guitar in high school, quit shortly after, but I'm intrigued by the whole aspect of marketing a shop, or not a band.
Me too. No.
Of marketing a band. I feel like there's a lot of parallels between business marketing and band marketing, and so like bands that have no business sense or marketing sense, I would assume they just can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I know a bunch of bands, and one of the things that I've noticed with them, I don't even know if you want to go here with this kind of thing, is that they have this really strange sense of entitlement, and they think the bands that make it got it because they were in the right place at the right time and all this kind of shit. But I think just like with any business opportunity, you are in the right place at the right time by being everywhere all the time and doing everything all the time.
And like if that magic thing does come to help push you, you're already ready when you get there.
You're already ready.
If you're not ready, that magic thing just is not going to happen.
Yeah, like if you look at if there's 10 slots and the average band fills 3 of them, but your band fills 9 out of 10, your odds are much better that when that opportunity shows up in one of those spots, you're going to hit.
Exactly.
So
I think it's just something that they don't, they feel like it's like about some kind of magic thing. Like, I'm going to put stuff up on the internet and I don't have to really, like, maybe it's not like I don't have to work for it, but like, this is what I just need to do is just put it out there and something will happen, like magical.
Yeah. I remember when I was 20, that's kind of how I thought too. I just thought you had to just put it out there and everyone would realize how wonderful you are, right? But there's just there's so much more to it than that, and I was going somewhere with that, and I kind of lost track.
Sorry,
but I think it's good. That's the game, bro. But I think it's very important for bands to really understand that it's a full blown business, and you have to treat it like that, and you have to go all in. I don't think that a band can be, in my personal opinion, maybe one of them can be working to support the band, but dude, you can't. I feel like it's a full-time job. That has to be.
I feel like if it's just one, then there's going to be some kind of animosity at that
point.
Like, I'm the one that's like, I'm working to pay the bills here.
That's right. And I bet you it's actually harder today than it was in the 80s or 90s too, because there's so much of it. I bet it's tough.
It's so weird to think about that too, because like back then you would sell tapes and CDs and people could buy them. Now it's a lot of just streaming.
Yeah.
And I feel like then you could buy people a little bit more interested in like having the merch and whatnot.
That could be true.
There wasn't video games.
That's true.
At least not like what we have nowadays.
Yeah.
But
I've actually never looked at the numbers to see like from the early 90s compared to like almost 2020 or 2019 what the merch sales were from the 90s. It'd be interesting to look at.
I wonder if there's some kind of way that you could look that up.
I'm sure there's statistics out
Let
there.
us
I
know
just
if you
never
know.
bothered to look at it. Yeah. Drop into the comments. Let us know a little something.
Like, hey, stupid idiots, this is how you do that.
Yeah, man.
What's the hardest part about purchasing merch, do you think?
It is the just understanding the process. It's just getting the information to the printer and then just finding the right printer that fits what you need. So there are some print shops that are doing shorter run. They're set up so specifically for band merch that they will literally take a 24-piece order and they'll ship it to wherever you're at, so that you as the band don't have to, like, if you're on tour, you don't have to lug this shit around with you. Like, they'll print what you need for that show and do it, and then others won't, right? So, like, we won't. Fuck that. But so there are shops that will, and it will cost you more per piece, of course.
Yeah.
But it gives you're paying for, like, a nice level of convenience, right? So once you've kind of figured out logistically what you want, then it just does what we were talking about earlier. It comes down to just getting the information to the printer. That's it, dude. There's really nothing too difficult about it. Most shops worth half a shit. They can give you a deadline and they'll get them to you within that deadline. But I do think that's another very important thing, especially if you haven't printed before. Allow 3 weeks, dude. From the time you initiate contact, it's probably going to take you about a week. And then most shops will be anywhere between 7 and 14-day turnaround from the time you pay the deposit. So allow some time, especially on that first one. Once they're familiar with you, they can give you faster turnarounds most of the time. But in the beginning,
But they know what's going down.
yeah, allow some time, dude. Do not, if you call a printer and they haven't worked for you before and it's like 4 days out, dude, you're gonna have a hard time.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna pay so much.
Because you're going to have guys running at night.
You're gonna have guys running at night. Expedite the artwork. There's a lot more risk involved. There's a whole mocking up process. And when you as the band is in a rush to approve it, you may approve shit and you didn't actually look it over, and then you get it and you're like, oh shit, it's missing the E at the end of our name, right? So you just want to allow time.
Okay.
Very important. Do not fuck that up, especially on the first ones.
Would you think that maybe getting stuff locally is better than like something that's further away, or is that maybe caught in the cost? Like,
no, you want to go local, man. Yeah. Again, dude, if you open up Google Maps and you type in screen printing, it looks like a herpes outbreak. There's shops everywhere. So it's just it's up to the band to do their due diligence. Like I said, maybe get 3 or 4 runs, small runs, done from independent shops to find which ones, first off, hit their deadline. Second, the quality is where you want it to be. And then you can gauge from there if you're going to move forward with them. But yeah, I would say almost 100% stay locally, especially in the beginning. As you start moving up in numbers and volume, then you can start really price shopping. But in the beginning, dude, you just want convenience.
Yeah,
I think.
You can see it. You can even maybe go there, like this place.
Yeah.
Like, hey, how's it run?
Exactly. Yeah. You can see how it goes down. And a lot of the smaller shops, not all, but a lot of them will let you literally come to the shop the day they're producing it, and you can see it come off the thing to make sure it looks the way you want, you know?
That might actually be a cool idea. Like, a lot of social media stuff for bands, you need help, guys. So like maybe just to add some stuff to what's going out to your feed, be like, hey, we're gonna go to the shop and watch our dudes print this stuff real quick, and just take a 5-minute video of what's going on in the shop as your stuff's printing out.
Oh shit, yeah. Like, because I have the YouTube channel, The Print Life, on YouTube.
Subscribe.
But yes, please. But I love it when clients want to come down and film what's happening and film it coming off the thing, because it's marketing for me. Right, because they're now pushing it out to you. So if you hit up the shop and say, hey, can we get some footage for our thing, most of them are going to be hella down to do it. So do it. That's great for your social media too.
Yeah. Do you ever get like a band or it doesn't have to be a band, it could be a client or whatever, that just, you walk them through a bunch of stuff and then in the end they're still just not happy?
Yeah, oh yeah. It's part of the game. Yeah. And most shops are, I think, used to it. You do everything you can to make it right. But there's an interesting thing about screen printing. I go all over the place, so hopefully that's cool. It is a limited art form, but it is still an art form. And with any art form, there are always imperfections. It doesn't matter if you're with a garage printer all the way up to a gigantic contractor that has fucking 20 automatics in like a 30,000 square foot warehouse. It's still an an art form, and because of that, there's always going to be, not always, but there can be times where imperfections happen.
Mm-hmm.
So it's part of the game. Most printers are used to it and ready and aware of it. So if you get a product and it is your band, it takes a look at it and you're not happy with it, just don't go slam them on Yelp. Don't go slam them on Google. Call the printer because they are ready and willing to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But what we don't want is to not be given the opportunity to fix it and then just have the person just all disgruntled and like, fuck that guy, right? That's the worst.
I bet that happens to like everybody.
Every
like,
shop.
Every single thing.
If you go to any print shop's reviews, you'll always see 1, 2, or 3. Usually it's about 2 to 3 of where it was just some disgruntled customer, and then it's always right below it. The printer responds with like, "Why didn't you tell us? We would have gladly fixed it. We're so sorry."
Call me now. I'll
Yeah,
still
we'll
do
fix
it.
it.
Do
So
something.
just imperfections will happen. Hit the printer up. Just let them know, and they will always fix it. And if they don't, then go slam them on social media. You know,
bands, I'm sure they come to you and they probably don't have a lot of cash for whatever. What
Yeah.
would you suggest to them? Because I know, like, when I have bands are recording, they want to, like, I want to do a whole album. Well, I only have this much money. Like, well, what you could do with me is only do 4 songs instead of your whole album, like,
Yeah.
and then work out. What would you do, like, in that situation?
Yeah, so with your early graphics, definitely stick with 1 to 3 colors, first off. But the real cost in printing is actually multiple locations. So you should definitely, I hate it when I use that word, definitely, you should try to stick to 1 location, because that's where the costs really start to add up.
Just shipping to you?
No, one print location.
Oh, okay.
So doing just a front print is always going to be cheaper than a front and back.
Oh, got it.
So, because ultimately, if you think about it from a production point of view, the way a shirt is printed is you go to the press, you grab it, you load it, and then it does its whole, you do your whole printing thing, you run it through the dryer. To do another location, you have to do that again. So you're essentially doing 2 jobs on 1 shirt. So you're
Okay.
doubling the cost. And this works with every single print shop across the board. So for sure, especially in the beginning when money is non-existent, try to stick to 1 location if at all possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about, like, say you got 1 big location and then like something that's like smaller, like a pocket or like a sleeve?
Doesn't matter.
Same thing?
Yeah, so there's a misconception that it's just the print size.
Mhm.
You just always imagine you're loading it to print the first location, and if you have to load it again, that means you had to set up another set of screens on the press. It's another job.
It's just the
So
same
it's
thing.
2 jobs on
Doesn't
1
matter
shirt.
how big.
Doesn't matter.
Nice.
Yeah. So 1 location. The colors typically won't. Multiple color prints won't typically be anywhere near as expensive as a single color with 2 locations.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So keep that in mind.
All
Try
right.
to stick to 1 location.
That's good.
Nailed it.
So, like, you definitely work with a lot of bands, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you probably see what they're probably repeat buying or what's going on. What do you think typically probably sells the best for bands?
For a while in the hardcore scene, it was those big, kind of, it was similar
Sort
to
of
that,
size-wise?
but they were illustrated graphics, right? And then that was kind of when I got into printing when it was kind of the hardcore scene was kind of really getting a push, and all the local kids were doing it. So at that time it was multicolor stuff, but then that scene switched over to like almost a workwear shirt. Single color pocket, single color back, right? And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? It changes so rapidly, it's almost hard to keep up with it, with what the trends are within a particular industry.
That's crazy. You probably have like a really great insight into that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like just weird. Like, who started this and why is it this way?
Yeah, and you will, man. Like, so because I remember there's actually one band. I'm not gonna shout them out or anything, but they did this multicolor graphic, and then the next time they come through, they completely switch it up, and it's that one color, one color back, and I'm going, what the shit happened? And then you could look at Instagram, and all of them were doing exactly the same thing. So it just happens like that.
Just like
So
one band goes, that's cool, I'm gonna do it.
yeah, and you cannot keep up with it. When you're young, you tend to imitate, but imitation very rarely takes you anywhere. You should really just try to make your shit as absolutely different as possible. It might take a little bit longer for it to catch on. Some people might be like, what is this? But if it is like truly unique, at some point it'll catch on and it'll set you apart. I think.
So apart from what everybody else is doing, if you're not trying to follow the trends.
Yeah, like I mean, this is a horrible example, but how old are you?
I'm 37.
So you're my age, exactly. You remember Ed Hardy?
Yes.
It came up, blew the hell up, and then it became a total joke. No one wore it. Now it's coming. Now you see some of those hype beast kids buying up vintage Ed Hardy. So, like, if you had been a band and you were doing that, then the hype beast might even bought into your. You never know, but it's just try to be weird. Maybe dive into the past a little bit.
A little bit like arcades. I feel like I loved arcades when I was little, and then like in 1999, you could like get rid of an arcade. Come get it for free, and now arcade bars are freaking everywhere, and they're expensive again. So
that's right, dude. That is true. It's very, very true. Cobra Bar right down the way. Shout out Cobra Bar. I haven't really maybe been paying attention, but I haven't noticed any predominant trends at the moment. It does still seem like it's kind of that workwear shirt, single color left chest, front, and then the back thing. In my opinion, from what I have seen, it doesn't matter what is on the shirt. It just often doesn't. Dude, I remember this was from a streetwear thing, but this dude came in with this graphic, and then I'm looking at it, and it looked like it was created in Microsoft Paint, like you were talking about earlier with the pixelated shit. And I was like, "There's no way that this is gonna sell." And this kid printed it, man, and he had this aesthetic in his mind, and sure as shit, it sold. Like he was getting them reprinted all the time. I think he had an aesthetic in mind, and he marketed the shit out of it on whatever outlets he wanted to do, and he was able to get people to buy into this look. And from a band's point of view, you look at it, all the great bands typically either have an incredible sound that's very different, or they have an image, right? Like, did you see the Motley Crue thing that was recently out on Netflix?
No.
The Motley Crue. They kind of like took that glam rock shit and then they brought it into the late '80s, and it worked for them, right?
Yeah.
But they just toured the shit out of it. So I think if you need to come up with something that's original and different, and it's just going to come down to marketing. I don't really believe that the graphic itself matters as long as it's different.
Yeah.
Now we're talking more marketing though than
well,
what a band would or wouldn't do.
Still, sometimes they need it. Do you think that do a lot of bands do more than like one design? Do they do like just one design and that's it? One and done?
Yeah, usually there are a handful of bands that we have that will do like they have their main merch, line, but then they'll do like and then they'll do like, oh well, we're going to Albuquerque, so we want a specific shirt for Albuquerque, or we're doing this kind of thing for 4th of July. But yeah, they'll usually run one main graphic that they try to do almost for the whole album.
Okay.
And then they'll have like event specific stuff. Some of them do, man. Yeah, I mean, I can't sit there and be that general.
I listen to like podcasts and I was like, you need to have 3 different designs up there, and like,
I know when I go to a show, you'll usually see bands that have 3 different designs to choose from. So I get it, but I think in the beginning, it's just more about if you're a good band and you're confident in yourself and you get out there and you crush it, they're gonna want to represent you. And again, I don't so much know that it matters what the graphic is so much as the connection to the band. I think, and I know I do it in business too. You get caught up in the wrong goddamn things. I think.
Yeah.
But again, man, this is just my opinion. Maybe as a band, you absolutely need to have 3. That's why I'm interested in the band marketing stuff too, dude. You know,
I definitely, like, as a mixing engineer and whatnot and a recording engineer, I get caught up in like stupid crap like that, like all the time. I'll be like, well, for me to be a better this, I need to have this, like this plugin or whatever, this, this software or whatever it is, like, and I know, like, I was mixing the other day, I was like, I need. No.
You're right.
You don't need that. Just go back and rework it a little bit and you'll be fine.
And most of the great art came from simplicity. Like, most good things started and grew from simplicity, and then when they put all the other crap into it is when it became shit.
Like distraction.
Yeah, right? And you've seen it with every great band. When they got all the money and they had all the big studios and all this stuff, then all of a sudden they couldn't make nothing.
Yeah.
I think simplicity is key. Look at this. Maybe band people know, maybe they don't. But Supreme, they'll like for a T-shirt they'll have one graphic per like one drop, right? They'll have sweatshirts and all this other stuff, but it's like one per drop per week. So I think if it was me, and this is just me giving opinions. If I were in a band, dude, I would do like a smaller run for each gig kind of thing that I'm going to do, and it would be smaller runs and try to have one for every show so that people are kind of like collecting, like, I got to go to this thing to get this one thing, and then I'll go to the next one to get this other thing. And I would market it like, limited graphic for this show. If you want this graphic, you better come to this goddamn show.
Maybe not like every week, but like, we talked before, you kind of need, maybe when you're doing shows, especially in a certain area, you do like once every 3 or so months. Like, that would be smart to do 4 different like prints a year, and people would be like, oh, I need to go to that show because I'm going to pick up my friend band's
and
nice print.
And if you could really make it feel like there was some sort of a limited, not like don't be a douche about it,
aspect.
but yeah, like you know, this is you're only going to be able to get this between this and this show. Maybe like you said, not for one show, but between these 3
or
shows that
like
we're
every
doing.
week, that's not a good idea. But.
Yeah, right. But if between these 3 is the only time you can get it, and then that one's done. That's a wrap. And you could even get funky with it. Like you could do the same graphic with different colorways. Like this one was white on black. This next one's going to be red on blue. You could get funky with it. And I think that would be a better marketing ploy too, to get people involved in buying.
It's true. Stuff. That's brilliant, man. Write that down.
Yeah, write it down, baby. I'm gonna write it down too, because I just came up with that shit on the spot. But yeah, man, I don't know. As far as if you need multiple graphics, I wouldn't do it. But it's not to say that you shouldn't. Yeah, it's for the bands. It's up to them, man. That's the fun. I think that's the fun of it. Everyone can do it differently. There is no set in stone rule.
And you don't need $1 million then to do all 3. One
right.
works great as long as you're promoting yourself.
That's right, and that's another thing too. Like for me, I would rather. Like, let's say I could have 3 mediocre graphics. If you're on a budget, which I'm assuming most young bands are, I would rather spend and get 1 really good graphic from a very reputable artist instead of getting 3 mediocre ones, right?
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
Keep that in mind too, and that's the dude. Instagram is a killer resource for these designers.
That's true. Like there's a bunch of them I've seen all over the place where they're not that expensive.
No, I took design services out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'll just tell them I have a bunch of Instagram artists.
You just hit them up.
I just tell because I don't want to deal with it.
You don't want to deal with it.
But I tell the clients, hit these guys up. They're affordable. They look at their portfolio. They're killing it.
Yeah.
Hit them up. When you get it, come back and we'll print it for you.
Nice.
But whereas it used to be you had to have design in-house.
Yeah.
But now it just doesn't make sense because even if you have the best designer in the area, if you could have access, thanks to Instagram, to the best designers nationwide, or even in India or Asia, just because they don't speak English doesn't mean they ain't crushing it.
Yeah, they can't make amazing
and
stuff. And then you gotta pay for that
$69.
dude to be here all the time.
Right, you're right. So it just didn't make sense. And those guys charge $69, dude. You can get a full color killer graphic or logo from an Indonesian for $60. You're like, what the shit? That used to in the States that would cost you $300 or $400.
Yeah.
So it's hot. We had to turn the air off.
We're gonna notice it here in a second. I'm a big dude. It gets really warm really quick. Are there any newer-ish features or processes or inks or things that would help a band maybe for their shirt to pop a little bit better than just normal? Say I see a lot of bands with just 1 color or 2 color things. Is there a thicker ink or I don't know, this crazy neon or something?
Yeah, you can do for sure, and you can even get away with some really cool effects with like I said 3 colors. One that I've kind of seen have a resurgence recently is what they call high density. It's a little bit different than puff because it has a sheared edge on it, so it looks like rubber was cut out and glued on the shirt.
So it's thicker and not rounded.
Yeah, right. But you could also use puff. You can just use some glitter for accents. You can use glitter inks and all of these kind of things. There's foil, which gives the chrome look, and most of those you can make what was a 1 color print, you can make it a 1 color with an accent, and then it's really gonna pop, and it really didn't cost that much more.
Okay.
There's so much. There's a lot of fun stuff you can do. Yeah, that's just within screen printing, and then if you wanted to go crazy with money, you can tack on embroidery to the screen printing, how Ed Hardy used to do, and then you can really go bananas with it, man. I'd love to see some people start doing it would be legit if you saw some kind of band say fuck all the print shit, we're gonna do a little polo type logo embroidered on our t-shirt, and that's gonna be our merch, man. It would be cool to see people start getting a little bit more
get out of the box,
creative with it. Yeah, so that's the one I want to do right now. I feel like if I started a lineup, it would be some little tiny embroidery, like a pineapple or some shit right there, dude. Because that's just cool.
That's my band.
Yeah, that's right, baby. So you can also, and bands could also do fun stuff for themselves. You could get, dude. This is if I was a band, this is the kind of shit that I would do. Especially if it was an outdoor event, I would get white shirts and I would print the band logo on it, and then I would have 6 different single color stencils And I would show up at the thing, man, and when it was like merch buying time, I would have my spray paint cans and my stencils and my white shirt. They buy the shirt, and then the band will go fucking ape shit on it. There's a lot of cool stuff you could do.
Yeah.
You could do your own tie-dyeing. You know, you could buy white shirts, get them pre-printed, and then you could tie-dye them yourself. There's just so much, man.
Yeah.
The creativity within merchandise is as limited or as vast as you want it to be.
Okay.
So, yeah, you can do a lot of cool shit.
Well, like we kind of went there already a little bit. Then you run a channel where you're basically like helping people, or at least letting people know how this business works. If you either wanted to get into it, or like here's some stuff to not want to get into. Like I was like, oh wow, that looked cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to get into that. Do you think it would be advantageous for bands to print their own merch?
I think one color stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. What it takes money-wise to start registering multicolor stuff is a different story, but dude, a band can get a single, don't buy the 4-color cheap, but you can buy the single color cheap Chinese tabletop press.
Yeah.
And you can crank out one color stuff all day long.
Okay. So like I've seen the 4-color Amazon thing, and I'm like, I don't know, it looks kind of cheap.
Well, the only time I would buy that is if I wanted to make 4 different single color graphics and have them rotating, but they don't register with each other.
Okay.
Right. So you could have this single color graphic, this single, and then that way you always have it up, and when you need to print up 24, you just ink it up.
It'd be like a pain in the butt if you wanted to like register anything.
Yeah,
that,
you just
sure.
with those cheap ones, you just don't want to have to register 2 colors together. And maybe that's too technical depending on who's watching and listening. But single color, yes. Multicolor, it's going to be a little more shaky. You're going to end up putting a lot more money into it than it would have costed to just get a damn printer to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are like me when I was like, what's screen printing? And I didn't even freaking know that it's an actual effing screen. Like I'm like, oh wow, this is really what? And so like basically they coat the screen like it's an actual screen, like your back porch screen, and then they like use some like sunlight emulsion crap, and it like washes through, and then they use a squeegee and put the paint on the inside, put it on your shirt, and just squeegee it across. And so like one thing you could do on your own, but you're saying like if it has multiple and it's a really cheap machine, you're trying to do colors on top of colors. Like this shirt would have a red and a black and a white and a yellowish gold. And so then you'd have to all like make sure that it's all aligned.
Right.
And that would be a pain in the ass.
The alignment, right. I'm glad that you actually made an example. Yeah, the alignment of that is difficult with a low quality press.
Yeah.
But if you were just printing the white in that, and you know, you see really good graphics done all the time in single color. If you have a good designer, then it's super easy because you don't have to register it. But if you're trying to get that red to lay over that white, dude, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
All over it.
Yeah, what will happen with you is the red will be shifted and you'll see white poking out from his right pec.
Yeah.
So you just don't do it. Not in the beginning.
No.
Yeah. There are some other DIY things you can do from home. Like you can technically cure the shirts in your oven. Don't recommend it, but you can do it. You can get a little cheap flash to cure. So there's a lot. Yeah, you can do it for pretty cheaply. I think you could get set up with a single color kit for probably about $1,000 and be producing.
So I thought it would be a cool idea before I came here. I was like, well, what if they got the stuff printed at their print shop, and then they had like one of these one print thing, and you had like your name on it, like whoever's in the band that's like I don't know, it was the guitarist's day to get the shirts, whatever, and just like this is I'm the one that like kind of ordered these and did these or whatever. Yeah. Like I think that'd be kind of cool to, or even just you all put your names like signature on the inside, maybe underneath the sleeve or underneath or whatever, or on the back of the sleeve. No worries.
Sorry.
And like that could be a little bit of extra if you guys were up to it, like you could do.
Yeah, that'd
make
be
it a little
tight,
personal,
man.
so you wouldn't have to worry about that, you know.
Yeah, it'd be tight. If each band member kind of had their own little screen, and like you can get again, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can take a shirt, lay it on a table, lay the screen on it, pull, cure it with a heat gun.
Yep.
Done. And now you gave them a little touch.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it gives them that feel of like it's custom, it's a one-off. Yeah.
Personal.
If I were a band, brother, I would be playing that merch game to the fullest extent.
Make sure it's not just like a, you know, here's our flyer kind of thing. Like no, this is called cool. This is different. This one's for you.
That's right. I think that would be, dude. After this, hopefully we start seeing some bands take advantage of it.
Hopefully.
That kind of stuff, man.
You see a lot of these companies coming out, probably more or less probably for like YouTube people, or they may not know how many people are going to buy like their T-shirts, so they can do these like, I don't know if it's Teespring or other things like that, to where they're like, I don't know if they're DTG printers or what they are, to where they're like just one-offs, like, oh, hey, buy my shirt over here. And this other company will print your shirt and do all that stuff and ship it and everything, and I'm sure they get like nothing from that. But like, what do you think of that stuff?
I'm
like,
down for it. Yeah, I think in the beginning, because you're just trying to keep a budget. In the beginning, it's not about profit. I know everybody wants to just be rich right out the gate, but in the beginning, it's just about playing the game. And those companies like Printful for Shopify, Teespring is attached, I think, to YouTube. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
And even Amazon Merch, they all have their place. And they will allow you to also test what designs are popular. So if you did have 3 designs in a row, I would get them on those platforms first, see which ones are selling, and then produce them in quantity to up your profit margins, right?
Yeah. Because I'm sure you make absolutely squat.
You don't make nothing on them.
Like $1 for a $20 t-shirt.
That's about right. I think you may make $3 or $4 depending on the volume you're doing, like in a given pay period for them. But absolutely, if you have a internet presence, test your designs through those platforms, and they'll allow you to at least get the shirts into the people that are interested in what you're doing's hands, and if they start selling, go to production.
Cool.
Yeah, man, but they're cool. I like digital. I think that it is going to be very soon. I think that it will. I think it may even surpass screen printing in some situations, like under 100 pieces. I think that everything will be printed digitally under 100. Yeah. Even shops like mine, like that, will be replaced with a digital printer at some point.
At some point, you'll move to that, you think?
Yeah, man. It's just, and if at first it sucked, and it still kind of sucks. But I think you give it another 5 years, and they're gonna have it. They're gonna have it locked down.
Yeah, because I buy, like, obviously I'm a nerd, so I buy a lot of like crap shirts like that because that's just what I wear. And so I actually bought some for my kids, and they were like one-off kind of things. But it was, I can't remember it's a T Fury or something like that. One of those websites. Yeah. But like, you can get whatever this cool design that you like, and whatever color shirt and whatever anything, and they just probably print one off like that. But it doesn't look as nice, I feel like.
Yeah, it's getting there.
Is it good?
Yeah, I don't think it's there yet, and they have issues with wash fastness, right?
It definitely goes like out faster.
Yeah, it used to be like 10 washes, but I think a lot of them have jumped up to like maybe even 50 washes before it's like a full breakdown. But eventually, man, they'll get it locked in. You know, like the offset press, which is how magazines and stuff used to be printed. It was all some form of screen printing, but it used plates instead, and that's how they printed every magazine. And all the offset guys were like, this is never going to happen, digital's not going to take over. And it was a 20-30 year expanse, but eventually digital fucking took it. And so it's the same thing with this, man.
Eventually changed from like this old fashioned kind of like squeegee to like actually printer, like these new machines are direct to garment. That's why I said DTG. To where these machines, they take a longer time to set up, right? But like
no, DTG does
not really,
dude. That's why they're so enticing, man. Because screen printing takes a long time to set up. DTG, man, like you don't have to set it. Like people don't understand in screen printing that like if you bring me that, I have to go into Illustrator or Photoshop and I have to isolate the plates. You have to burn the film. You have to print the films after you've isolated the plates. If you screwed something up, you're gonna have to print the films again. But you take the films, you gotta burn them on the screens, and then you gotta take those screens and you gotta tape them off, and then you gotta get them on the press, and then you gotta get them lined up, and all of that shit, man. It sucks any kind of profit that could have been in the job, especially if one thing goes wrong. Digital, you take that file, you load it into the thing.
Maybe like resize or something.
You can resize it, you can scale it where you want, even if it's not the best quality. Digital like has these processors that kind of fix it a little bit. They can even make it look a little bit better, and it just takes all of that pre-legwork out of it, man.
Nice.
I think with direct-to-garment, it is the way of the future. But as of right now, screen printing is still kind of going to be the main way you do it.
You think you're going to be like getting into that at some point in time?
Yeah, so I would say if my shop, if I decided to take, let's say, $500K and invest in something, I would not invest in automated screen printing equipment.
Okay.
I might get a little tiny one and maybe put $50K into it or something like that. But if I were going to do a substantial investment, which I will, but I will be waiting for digital to get a little bit further along, and then that's where I'm gonna.
That's when you'll jump and take sale there.
Yeah, man, and it's awesome, dude. If you go to the actual screen printing conventions, bro.
Yeah.
Because they're not really in the industry yet, so not everyone's using them. But these DTGs that are being developed and they're showcasing, it's just like
blows your mind.
And they're doing it almost at screen printing speeds now. Like the print head is this goddamn big, and it's like, and that they load the shirt on the thing, and it's on this huge conveyor thing, and it goes done, full fucking color, man, 3 passes. Whereas the smaller ones, it's like, and it takes.
I've seen them.
15
some of them
minutes.
looks like forever. So I was wondering, like, well, I guess this is still faster or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, all this stuff like really intrigued me because at the beginning I was like, maybe I could do something like this, and because
You could.
music stuff, especially for recording, it's not paying at the moment. So I was
Nothing
like,
pays,
that'd be
though.
cool. Maybe. And then I was like, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do
I think
that.
you would really enjoy doing single color stuff.
Yeah.
I think that if you just wanted to get started on it, get yourself a little heat gun, get your single color press, a couple screens, and it's fun to just have a little idea and be able to put it on the shirt.
Exactly.
And I think that that's where everybody should start. And then if you get that itch, the itch starts coming, and you want to do a little bit more, then you start building it over time.
Well, I imagine, like, 'cause I spoke to a couple other guys that were like, they do some other stuff for other bands, and that's probably how they kind of got involved in that stuff.
Yep.
They're like, hey, I like your stuff. Who gets it? Well, I'd do it. Well, can you do mine?
And
So-
I think that's exactly the way it'll go. Damn it, dude. Yeah, fuck it. I had something else I was going to say, and it's gone.
Sorry.
That's cool. No, I liked what you said, but I wanted to rip on it, but like right as you were finishing up, I forgot where I was going to go with it. So,
It's okay. We're old. It's all right.
dude, I don't know if it's the age or what it is, man. I used to feel like I was sharp.
I think it's juggling crap. When you get to this age, you're like, I can juggle more. And
Yeah.
then you're like, what was that? Oh, shoot.
That's what it is, dude. Fucking it's involuntary retardation from having too many things going on.
It's true.
Dude,
I think unless you actually, I had one last one. Do you have any like other tips for bands and whatnot that like just getting into merch and stuff? I'm sure it's scary at the beginning.
I think that obviously merch is important, but I think that bands should. I mean, of course, the music is extremely important. Having good music is extremely important. But the marketing, man, not just with the merch, but thinking about how you're going to present this thing as a whole, right? And so merch is part of that. And but I think you should come up with really cool marketing campaigns that are outside of what you see other bands doing. And whether it's what we were talking about earlier about doing some custom embellishment at the event on your merch,
Yeah.
I think that that's the game, dude. And I think that that would set you apart on a merch from a merch point of view. And then also what we were saying, just utilize those made-to-order things in the beginning to test out graphics and see what's a winner.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, you asked all the questions. I feel like we really did cover.
We covered quite a bit.
Yeah, dude, it's simple. You're not going to make a lot of money at it in the beginning, but it's merch. In my personal opinion, in the beginning, it's not about the money. It's just about being able to play the game for as long as you can, and merch will help you play the game and help you get yourself out there. You know,
Yeah.
and there's no better business card than a T-shirt. In my opinion, if I were a band, this is another thing I'd say. I would have like my good like the shirts, maybe the multicolor stuff, but I would also have cheap white T-shirts with just the name, like logo shirts that I'm willing to give away.
That's true.
Because at the end of the day, man, you're just trying to get that name out there. You're trying to
Especially
get
at the beginning.
association going on, right?
Do you like one of the things that like I know is because I love T-shirts. Like I just love like this kind of crap. As long as it feels good. Like
Yeah.
is that like a big deal?
It is. So, and that's where you got to visit the shop and get familiar with the brand. Now, dude, like in 2019, there's Comfort Colors, there's Gildan, there's Next Level, there's Bella, there's All Style, there's All Made, there's, dude, I mean, the list goes, I can't name them all. So, but in each one of those manufacturers, the shirt feels different. It has a completely different cut. Some are longer, some are shorter, some have big sleeves, some have fitted sleeves. That's where your due diligence comes in. You need to figure out what cut fits your demographic, and then you can worry about the print. But yeah, I think figuring out the blank's the first step. Dude.
Yeah.
And each one of them is different, completely different.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. Like think
Yeah.
about like even sizing different with shoulders or whatever else.
Everything.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, man, it varies wildly. And here's something that I do. I actually tell customers this shit too, because most shops, unless they have it in the thing, and no shop can have every blank. It's impossible. There's so many of them. But you could get down to like your top 5 or 6 brands. I hate to promote Amazon because of course they're the devil, but that you can get in there and you can get those blanks off Amazon for $4 or $5 a piece.
Okay.
And you can sample
At least
that way.
see what that is.
Yeah, you can just order those main ones, and that way you can get them, you can wash test them, you can do all the stuff to find out
feel
what
them out, yeah.
Because most shops, although they'll have samples of the stuff, they may not be they may not be washed. So
Yeah, I find if I buy like this is actually I think this is maybe a Target shirt. Like normally the ones I buy at Target kind of suck. To be honest, like I have like a longer torso, but I'm a bigger dude, so I need an XL.
Yeah.
And they always shrink up to where it's like
Yeah,
almost
belly.
like I'm wearing like
it's a
What the heck, a
1980s
crop
belly
top?
shirt. Yeah. I would say if you're starting out, there's 3 main cut differences, or let's say 4. You're going to check out your Gildans. That's your cheapie. Order a Gildan 2000 on Amazon. get on Amazon, order the next level 3600. We're going all cotton for this.
Okay.
Next level 3600 is more slim fit, a little bit longer in the body, tight in the arm. So it's for those, it looks good on those people. Check out the Bella 3001. That's a little bit boxier, but it's got the same soft cotton feel at the next level. And then check out anything from American Apparel, cotton.
Yeah.
And if you get those 4 models off of Amazon, you're going to see there's a huge fluctuation in all of those. Have very different cuts, very different types of fabric. In terms of fabric qualities, we can talk about that real quick.
Sure, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so really the main differences are within cotton, first of all, and cotton has what they would call carded, and you'll see most of like the cheaper brands like the Gildans and the Hanes, the entry level stuff will be carded cotton or some form of carded cotton. The next step up, which is a little bit higher quality, is ring spun cotton, which has just got the little bit softer feel. Like that's more than likely ring spun. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the next step up from there is combed and ring spun. So that's going to be premium. It's going to cost the most goddamn money. And then within that, you can also find blends. Like they have tri-blends that will have rayon, polyester, and then usually combed ring spun cotton. Well,
does that make them last longer? Or?
It's more of a dry fit kind of feel. They're typically a little bit lighter. They're not as heavy. Okay. And I feel like they kind of present more of a vintage. Okay. Like this is more than likely a tri-blend as well.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably got some kind of rayon in it. So start there. We didn't even talk about garments, so we had to cover that.
Exactly. Thank you for covering it, because I was like, I don't know nothing about this.
Yeah.
I mean, like, totally, guys, check out the Print Life. I love the channel. Like, I don't even print. It's friggin' hilarious half the time, and I'm just a nerd. I just like into that stuff. So
go to YouTube, subscribe to the Print Life, and then ding the bell so you actually get notified when I upload a new thing. Follow me Instagram and Twitter at Cam Earven. That's CamEarven. We have a podcast. Only if you're into screen printing stuff. Outside of that, but it's on iTunes, Google Play. It's the Print Life Podcast. If you need shirts printed in any way, shape, or form, monumentlimited.com. We have an incredible quote building tool on there, so you don't even have to call me if you don't want to. You can go on the website. The quoting tool is legit, so just go check it out. You'll see what I mean.
It looked pretty cool. Like, I looked into it. I think one of your videos was like showing how to do it. It was pretty funny.
It's legit, man. So definitely use that tool. Even if you don't work with us, it's a great tool for you to kind of get a baseline of where pricing is. That was sweet, brother. Thank you, man. I appreciate the opportunity.
No problem.
Well, thanks, guys, for sticking around for this one and sticking around through this podcast. It's quickly, changing into a weird myriad of what we kind of have to deal with within society right now, and kind of just a journal of what's going along. Now that my daughter's woken up, I think she wants to talk on the mic, but thanks, guys, for checking out. If you could do me a favor, please subscribe through Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, any podcast platform is out there. Plus, we also have a YouTube channel in case you want to watch on there. Thanks for listening.